Hello, I'm Ford Ennals. I head up Digital Radio UK, and I'm delighted to be with you today, and also delighted to be joined by my colleague Yvette Dorr. Yvette, hello.
Hi, I'm Yvette Dorr. I'm Communications Director of Digital Radio UK.
And you can actually probably notice that I'm not actually joined by Yvette. Yvette's at her home, and we've been working from our respective homes for the last few weeks during the UK lockdown as part of COVID-19. And we absolutely recognise that so many of you, I'm sure, are in the same difficult situation. And we do want to send our very best wishes out to you, to your loved ones, and to all your colleagues around the world. But I am glad we've had this opportunity to talk to you today, because it's a really good time to give a market update on what's going on in UK in terms of both radio and in terms of digital radio. And we'll be picking that up. I'll talk about some of the key themes for radio in the UK. And then Yvette's going to be sharing some new data, which we've just received today. So it's, as I said, the timing's great. So just to start, as I said right at the beginning, we're right in the middle of COVID-19. I think the UK has the worst death record across Europe, and these are very difficult and dark times. I think within these circumstances, radio's played an increasingly important role, and the broadcasters and ourselves have been seeking to reinforce that this is a great time to listen to radio for news, but also for music, and a great time to discover all the news stations on digital radio. And what we've seen is an increase in radio listening, people spending more time with their radios. And what we've also seen is broadcasters reaching out to local audiences, local communities, and seeking to help people. And I think this bodes well for the future of radio and the importance of radio in the UK. But there is a significant pressure being put on commercial radio because of the lack of advertising from clients. Because obviously in the UK, as so many other places in the world, all we have at the moment open are chemists, pharmacies, and food stores. All of the electrical retailers are trading online, but have their stores closed. So it is a difficult time for commercial radio. So if we move forward, and these are some of the key themes for radio in the UK, and I think one of the things that's a positive for commercial radio is the performance of their digital radio stations and the growth of digital listening. And Yvette's going to pick up on that and the shift to DAB+ we're seeing in the UK. Yvette's going to talk a bit about the government industry review that's underway here. And then I'm going to end by talking about some of the retail marketing challenges and a new program that we're actually launching today. So Yvette, over to you.
Thank you, Ford. So hot off the press this morning, we have new listening data for the UK market for Q1 2020. This shows that digital listening share has increased to a new record of 58.6%, up from 56.4% in the same quarter of 2019, which is 4% growth in share percentage. Looking across all digital platforms in this quarter, listening via DAB accounted for 40.2% of all listening, listening via online and apps accounted for 14%, and listening via digital TV accounted for 4.4%. So listening via DAB accounts for the majority of digital listening, over 2/3, but it's listening online and via app where we're seeing the greatest growth, especially in home. The other source of strong digital growth is to national commercial stations. Listening online in home was, for the fourth consecutive quarter, the fastest growing platform and location. 17% of all in-home listening is now online, having increased by 21 million hours or 27% year on year. Now, this is being driven by smart speakers, which 32% of adults now claim to own, and is in line with the wider trend which sees online listening now accounting for nearly a quarter of digital listening. Now, in the last 12 to 18 months, we've seen around 10 new national stations launched digitally in the UK, which is delivering ongoing digital listening growth. In this quarter, digital listening to national commercial stations grew by a further 13.9 million hours, or 8.2%, and digital listening accounts for 83% of all national commercial listening. Now, DAB+ has been a really key factor in enabling that growth. And we've seen a great rollout of DAB+ services. In the last year, there's been a transformation of DAB+ broadcasting in the UK through the launch of new stations, including services which extend hugely popular brands such as Heart, Capital and Virgin. In total, there are now 21 national commercial stations broadcasting in DAB+, which represents over 50% of the total of all national commercial digital stations. There are the 21 currently on air now, and one more is on its way in summer when we expect to see the launch of new national news station, Times Radio. Additionally, there are around 28 local DAB+ commercial stations and a further around 150 commercial and community DAB+ stations in the small-scale trials, and many more will launch when the licensing programme gets fully underway. Now, a final word about policy from me. The UK government committed to a review when digital listening reached 50%. Now, that review is underway with government and the radio industry working collaboratively alongside wider industry stakeholders, including the supply chain. There are no plans for any form of digital switchover, but industry and government are in full support of a digital future for radio, and the objective of the review is to report findings and recommendations to help ensure a sustainable and vibrant radio and audio sector for the UK in the long term. That's all from me. I'm going to hand back to Ford.
Thank you so much, Yvette. So, I mean, overall, I mean, the data today is good news. We see record listening for digital radio, and we also see record reach for digital radio. So we are making progress. But as Yvette said, smart speakers are in a third of all homes now, and have become an increasingly important factor in the UK radio market. Our data suggests that 64% of all smart speaker use is actually listening to radio, which is good news. But nevertheless, we are keen to sustain and support radio sales, digital radio sales in the UK. And one of the key things here is the support and understanding of retailers. We did an audit of retail store staff to understand if they really knew what was going on with radio and digital radio. And it was quite revealing to understand that they didn't understand all of these new stations that Yvette's been talking about. And they were missing the great content proposition that digital radio has become. So there's clearly an education job to be done with the retail staff. And we're getting underway with that now, talking to both retail consumers, but also to retail staff. And as part of this program, which we've actually labeled Radio's Digital Revolution, we're using the familiar faces of our radio presenters from the leading stations across the UK, not just the BBC, but also the commercial radio groups, Bauer and Global, are contributing to this program. So this is the central visual for Radio Digital Revolution, the retail communication. And what we want to do is kind of use this approach both at retail, in the stores themselves, but also online. So if you take a typical shelf here, which is a bit sad and flat, if you add the visual support of the material I've been sharing, you can see how much powerful and more impactful that is. But right now, all the stores are closed. So we're focusing online, where retailers are continuing to trade and actually doing pretty well on electrical goods. We've already sent these materials to John Lewis, one of the UK's leading retailer, and they'll be telling the digital radio content story on their website and featuring a video supporting that in the coming weeks. So I think that's a really good sign of progress, and retail will continue to be a focus in the UK. So that's it from us. That's it from me and from Yvette. As I said right at the top, we wish you well. We look forward to seeing you later in the year, and we wish you continued success with your business. And we look forward to hearing your own progress in a similar video as this. I wanted to thank World DAB. Also want to thank Yvette, and I'm going to leave Yvette to say goodbye.
Yes, thank you so much. Stay safe and well, everybody. And thank you so much, Bernie and the team at World DAB. Take care.
Okay, thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.